back, everybody. Shares of video game maker Take-Two Interactive surging at the end of last week. The company came out with earnings and reiterated its guidance, saying that Grand Theft Auto 6 is still on track to launch this fall.
Okay, so hear me out because this is a wild theory, but the timing is just too perfect. Sony's State of Play is happening in just a few hours, and in the last 48 hours, Rockstar's stock has absolutely skyrocketed. Now here's where it gets interesting. There have been long-standing rumors that Rockstar signed a marketing exclusivity deal with Sony. And just to be clear before people start losing their minds, no, I'm not saying GTA 6 is going to be a PlayStation exclusive. That's not how this works. A marketing deal just means that Rockstar will show GTA 6 trailers at PlayStation events, maybe even slap a Best Played on PlayStation 5 Pro tagline on there, which would be a massive win for Sony and a huge push for PlayStation 5 sales. It's hard to quantify just how big it's going to be because I think some people don't fully grasp just how huge this is. Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to break the internet in more ways than one, and it will represent billions and billions of dollars worth of increased revenue. There's even stories and reporting of how Phil Spencer and Hiroki Toki, the guy that's running Sony, are counting on GTA 6 boosting their bottom lines for this next fiscal year through 2025. That's how big the game is. It won't just affect the bottom lines of the companies that are making and publishing it, it's going to affect the bottom line of everybody, because it's going to bring a ton of new people into the PS5 and Xbox Series generation. It's really going to do a lot for it, so this is a big deal if it ends up being true. This report is referenced in an article by Game Rant. Okay, let's take a step back and analyze the latest interview Strauss had with CNBC. So, Strauss Zelnick was on talking about Take-Two's recent earnings, and the big takeaway? GTA 6 is still on track for a fall 2025 release. That's probably why the stock jumped. He also mentioned that NBA 2K is doing really well, up 30% year over year, which is kind of a big deal. And beyond GTA, they've got a pretty packed lineup coming up. Stuff like Borderlands 4, Mafia, Civ 7, and all their usual sports games like NBA 2K and WWE. Basically, they've got a lot in the pipeline. What's interesting is how Take-Two seems to be thriving while a lot of the industry is struggling. Zelnick chalked it up to them just sticking to what they do best, being creative, innovative, and efficient. He even said that they have the highest hit ratio in the business, though he admitted that doesn't mean much if they don't keep delivering. Then he got into mobile gaming, which is apparently still a huge focus for them. He said they expect mobile to be the fastest growing part of the gaming industry, even though it's growing pretty slowly right now. They just launched a new game called Match Factory that's doing well, and it might even become their second biggest mobile title. But the real moneymaker for them is still Toon Blast. Of course, he also had some thoughts on the FTC and regulation. He's not a fan of how the FTC handled things under Biden, saying it was misguided and actually scared companies away from making deals. But even with that, Take-Two still managed to pull off the $12.7 billion Zynga acquisition, which is one of the biggest in gaming history. He didn't seem too worried about the industry slowing down because of regulation, but he definitely thinks mergers should be allowed when they make sense. On the topic of growth, he said Take-Two is mainly focused on organic expansion rather than constantly buying up other companies. They're expecting 2026 and 2027 to be record-breaking years, so they don't feel the need to rush into acquisitions unless it really makes sense. Then, obviously, they talked about GTA 6. He didn't say anything groundbreaking, but he did emphasize how Rockstar is all about creative perfection, which is why their games take so long. GTA 5 has sold over 210 million copies at this point, so the hype for GTA 6 is massive, both within Take-Two and from fans. They also touched on AI in gaming, and he made a pretty good point. AI has been part of game development forever, but at the end of the day, human creativity is what makes great games. He doesn't think AI will replace that anytime soon. And finally, there was a quick bit about the SAG-AFTRA strike and how AI might affect voice actors and other creatives. Zelnick basically said he supports fair pay for human work and believes that if AI starts replicating what people create, those people should still get paid. So yeah, overall, he seemed pretty confident in Take-Two's future. Between GTA 6, their mobile push, and their upcoming games, they're in a much better position than a lot of their competitors right now. Okay, and with that context out of the way, let's delve deeper in my theory. Honestly, it makes complete sense. Right now, the PS5 Pro is shaping up to be the most powerful console on the market, and I know people are going to come after me for this, but I really do think it's a much better deal than building a $1,500 or even a $2,000 gaming PC. There, I said it. If you've got $2,000 to spend, why wouldn't you grab a PS5 Pro for the best console experience and then put the rest toward a solid laptop or a mid-range gaming PC that can run Xbox games and even some PlayStation titles through through ports. It just makes way more sense financially. You'd have a powerful console in the living room for GTA 6 and a versatile PC setup for everything else. That's just an insane deal. And here's where things get really crazy. GTA 6 and all the big games that might be announced at State of Play, none of them are coming to PC on day one. So if Rockstar actually drops trailer 2 during State of Play, and Sony finally confirms that GTA 6 runs at 60 FPS on PS5 Pro, that's it. The PS5 Pro will sell out instantly. Scalpers will be all over it. It'll be like the launch of the PS5 all over again. Now back to the stock surge. When you see a company's shares shoot up this much right before a big event, it's usually because investors know something. And this kind of momentum doesn't just happen for no reason. If GTA 6 shows up at State of Play, this is going to be one of the biggest moments in gaming history. I know. It's a wild theory. Maybe it won't happen, but the pieces are all there. Back in December, we all thought GTA 6 would show up at the Game Awards, but I always had my doubts because it would have completely overshadowed the entire event. But now, it's February. It's the perfect time for a major drop. No huge game announcements are competing for attention. The stage is set. But what do you think? Am I completely insane, or does this actually make sense?
Well, what Rockstar Games puts into all of their titles is a desire for creative perfection, which is why it takes a long time and why it's complex. And of course, nervous making. We don't claim success till it occurs. You're right, Grand Theft Auto 5 has been the standard bearer, not just for our company, but for the industry over 3 generations. It's now sold in over 210 million units, which is extraordinary. Grand Theft Auto 6, what can I say? There's enormous anticipation both inside our company and in the marketplace as a whole. We couldn't be more excited.
I don't think they've released a 60 FPS game that wasn't a remaster.
Probably not there, which is probably going to upset a lot of people. I'm not seeing anything in the PlayStation 5 Pro that's going to get you to 60 FPS if the base machine can't do it. If it can, happy days.
And an excitement around GTA 6 in order to bump up the default price of the game to $100.
The game industry struggled to maintain inflation-adjusted prices. The basic argument is that when adjusted for inflation, video games are cheaper now. Video games are cheaper now. Video games are cheaper now. Video games are cheaper now.
10 years of development, over a $2 billion budget, a marketing deal with Sony. They want a minimum of $80 to $100 for the base game. Gamers today will look for any excuse to be angry. Developers and publishers are worried. The don't buy it curse is real. With all these factors in mind, GTA 6 will be 60 FPS, even on the Nintendo Switch.
Storage, obviously a massively improved GPU, but the CPU is staying roughly the same as we had before. Now there is a clock bump that developers can tap into there, but it is, broadly speaking, a very comparable CPU there. Why wasn't the CPU upgraded, and why was not such a big focus there?
It's really just a question of where you put your resources. And I wasn't seeing, and I didn't think I would see, that many titles that couldn't run at 60. That's kind of my litmus test. I'm not asking do all the games run at 120 at this point in time. I'm asking do all the games run at 60. And you can count the AAA exceptions on one hand, I think, for games that didn't eventually run at 60. And so it seemed if we threw pretty much all of our resources into the graphics, that would be the